he froze a 4K bet into like 28 million. That's very well done from Faraz. Should have lost more.
I don't even know how many chips I have, but a lot. And this is what break time looks like when you're playing poker in the Bahamas. All right, day 3. I got 17 mil. I got a nice stack. We're in the money. It was going to be a very short turnaround time. We finished at like 3 a.m. They wanted us to start back up at 12, but luckily someone talked some sense into them and they pushed it back an hour. That was huge for me because I got a real good workout in today. Broke a nice sweat, and I actually needed to catch up on some sleep, so that was good. I'm feeling pretty zoned in, not gonna lie. I'm ready to crush it today. Ready to make all the good decisions. I don't care about the result, just care about being in the zone, paying attention to the table, and making the optimal decision, and paying attention to all the exploits that I can make at my table mates.
Good luck, everyone. Dealers, shovel up and deal.
I'm going to show you how to do this 11 BB stack.
All right.
I'm going to give away all my secrets.
Short stack ninja over here.
I feel it's okay. I feel more at home with this stack.
We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.
I've been playing on televised TV streams basically since I've been 21 years old, so they don't really faze me. I definitely enjoy them. It's an opportunity for, friends, family, a lot of my fans and students to come watch me play. I also just feel like extra zoned in on TV tables. Just no distractions. I think some other people that don't have as much experience, or maybe online players, it may distract them a little further. They get in their head. So I definitely feel like there's a little bit of advantage to having experience being on the big stage. And yeah, I'm just ready to zone in, block out everything, and go up there and kick some ass. I'm opening Queen Jack off on the button here with about 35 big blinds. Martin Zamani covers me slightly. He calls out of the big blind. We're down to about 130 players, 5% of the field left. So significant amount of ICM as we're getting closer to that final table. Flop King Jack 8. I c-bet 20% of the pot. He calls. Now the turn is where things get interesting. On a 3 of spades, I'm generally going to be taking a polarized approach here, just betting a strong king or better, using a big size, 66% pot, maybe 100% pot, and setting up a river shove with some of those hands. A hand like Ace Jack can certainly still bet here, and a hand like Queen Jack gets really borderline and is mostly checking. That said, my read here was that Martin Zamani was going to calm me down light. He knows me as a very aggressive player who likes to put a lot of pressure on people. So people generally call me down lighter than most opponents. And to make up for that, I need to have some thinner value bets in my range. That makes me a lot tougher to play with. And the other thing I really like about having some jack in my betting range here is that when the river comes a jack, that's going to be a very good bluff card for my opponent. They're going to take their hands like 9-10, Queen 10, missed flush draws, and they're going to lead jam bluff on that river jack quite often. And I'm rarely going to have a jack to call down with. So it's nice to have ace jack and a little bit of queen jack in my range here so that I am protected on that jack river that could come out. So Martin calls me down with queen 8 here, as I expected he would. On a 10 river, there's really no question here, just an easy check back. And I got my thin value, really happy with that pot. Deep in this tournament, these chips are worth a lot. So getting in that second barrel is huge and keeps me chipping up, keeps me ahead of the pack. So keeping my energy levels high and my focus strong throughout these long poker days is absolutely vital. Some of the things I'm doing there are making sure I have a good morning routine. So I try to get sunlight within the first 30 minutes of waking up. That helps your circadian rhythm and your hormones know to fire at the right time. You're getting that cortisol in the morning, getting that melatonin naturally at night when it's time to go to sleep. Getting a lot of movement in is important. Ideally, I'd like to go work out, but realistically, it's hard when you have these tight schedules and long poker days. So if I can't work out, at the least do my 15-minute floor routine in my room. Scott Baumstein here is a good friend of mine, also one of our coaches at Jaka Coaching. He is a phenomenal mid-stakes live player, one of the most exploitative players out there. I love bringing him on during sessions to talk hands with him because he just has a very different approach to all spots, playing against a lot of unstudied recreational players and just deviating from GTO quite often to extract max value from his opponents. I call him the king of South Florida because he just has piles and piles of trophies out there. But he's also got some nice scores in some larger buy-in tournaments. So here he's all in with ace-8 from the cutoff. He had less than 10 big blinds, so this is a mandatory shove. And unfortunately, we're going to lose Scott, but he cashed for $80,000, and he also got the $25,000 parlay, where WSOP basically had this bonus where if you cash 7 or more times during the summer WSOP, or you simply cash the WSOP 10K main event, then you qualify for this parlay where you get a bonus 25K just for cashing the super main event. So he actually cashed for $105,000 here. Nice payday for Scott, and GG to you, brother. We got 6-5 off in the small blind here off a 50 big blind stack. I limp. I got Adrian Mateos in the big blind off a 27 big blind stack. Adrian is a very tough player. He's arguably one of the top few MTT players in the world. And with this hand, I'm just looking to see a cheap flop. It's not good enough to raise. And if he were to have raised the big blind, I would have simply folded. But it goes check, check here. So we're going to see a flop. Now, when you have a nothing here, it's quite tempting to take a stab at the flop. But a lot of players do it a little bit too soon. And I'm going to be patient here. This board is not one I'm going to be doing a lot of c-betting on with my entire range. I have a lot of hands like ace high, king high, maybe some pocket 5s and 6s I was going to limp shove. And those hands, even though they're ahead, are just going to have a hard time realizing equity. If I bet here, I'm going to get floated by king high, 10 high, 8 high, flush draws, and then those hands are going to later steal the pot from me. So I'm going to take a lot of those hands and check and start putting money later in the pot. And I'm going to take my 6-5 and try to play it the exact same way. Do some sort of delayed bluff if I get the opportunity to. And if I don't because he bets, then it's just an easy toss. So as you can see, I'm already thinking many streets ahead. I'm thinking about how I'm playing different parts of my range to make sure my story adds up here. Flop goes check, check here. Adrian Mateos has bottom pair 9. He's really not getting too much value out of it, so he's just going to play it as a bluff catcher. Turn is the 2 of clubs. And again, it is a little tempting to start stabbing here, and I think this is a more reasonable place to stab. I could get him off a hand like 8 high, 7 high right now. But he's still going to call with king high, 10 high, ace high, and I'm just not going to have very many river cards. I'm comfortable double barreling with this holding. So I decide to check again in hopes he checks it back. And then I could try to get him off his ace high, king high, or pair of 9s on this river here. And on this river ace, it's actually a great card for me to represent because I would have certainly played some ace X this way, just checking it down. Now it's just a matter of what size I want to use here. I can use a small bet like 33% of the pot, and that would just be targeting hands like king high, 10 high, but he's really going to call any queen, any jack, and most of his 9s to that size. So I'm going to have to go something around 2/3 or bigger if I want to challenge a queen, jack, or 9 to fold. So I decide to bet a little over 2/3 pot, and he takes for a bit and throws it away. So that was a nice small pickup. And yeah, the way I'm playing these hands is going to change depending on who my opponent is. For someone like Adrian, I got to really make sure my story adds up, and I'm going to be thinking at a much higher level to get some of these bluffs or thin value bets through.
Getting one through, just not giving him credit for bluffs in that spot.
Mateos can be bluffed. Did you know?
Enjoying the party.
Faraz not just going to sit down with a player of that caliber on his left and think, okay, I'll just give Adrian a walk for the whole day and hope for the best.
Welcome.
He's coming out swinging.
It went awesome on the feature table.
I don't even know how many chips I have, but a lot, probably over 25 million. Yeah, a lot of things going my way. Probably the biggest thing is I've been getting through some really thin value bets, and they've basically all been working out, which feels good because that means I'm in a good zone. I know where I'm at in the hand, I know where my opponents are, and I'm able to extract that extra value in these big bloated pots. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling the zone. I had Adrian Mateos to my direct left, who's arguably the best tournament player in the world. And I won a couple big ones off of him. So yeah, I'm feeling great.
This was an interesting spot here. Under the gun raised off a 27 big blind stack. I flat the button with ace 4 of hearts and flop a flush draw while he flops top pair. He check raises me here on the flop. And now I have a decision of do I want to call or just jam it in now. So the first thing I'm doing is calculating what the stack to pot ratio will be if I just call here. That helps me understand how big of a jam I'm making and if that's reasonable. So if I did call here, the stack to pot ratio would be about 1.1, telling me that this is about a pot size jam, which is reasonable. If it was going to be something like a 2x pot jam, then that's more than I want to put in with just a flush draw. So my concern here about calling was he could have a hand like king jack, ace 9, ace jack that picks up equity after check raising and then shoves the turn and blows me off my equity, or even a hand like pocket jacks where I'm 50-50 against can blow me off a lot of equity on the turn here. So I decided a jam was the best course of action here. I make sure I get to realize my equity, and I also get him off a few hands that are beating me, mostly ace 9, ace jack, maybe some sort of 6 he could have check raised for protection. I really wasn't expecting him to check raise fold to 10. That said, most players are just check raising ace 10, king 10, and playing jack 10 as a bluff catcher. So this was really nice. I got to put him in the blender. He ultimately folded, and this was a very significant pot. Not only was there a lot of chips in the middle, but it also just showed my table that I'm not just playing a lot of hands, but when I put money in post flop, you better be prepared to play for stacks.
Wow. Let's it go. As played, that's a huge pickup for Faraz with just ace high.
Another thing that's very important for maintaining your energy levels is that you don't get too excited when you're running up a big stack or when you're winning big pots. What happens to a lot of players is they have a big stack, they win a huge pot, you know, they're super excited, and before you know it, you're gonna get coolered, you're gonna get bad beat and lose maybe half your chips. And now you're gonna feel awful because it's such a big emotional roller coaster down. So if you could not get too excited, you're not at too high of a place to fall down to. And that will help you maintain your energy levels throughout the long 5-day stretch that these tournaments are gonna last.
Faraz Jaka has been putting people on notice for many, many years. Seasoned tournament player, and you see the Jaka coaching patch. On the button, stuffs it.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
Jaka, of course, on the ascent after claiming the pelt of the Spaniard.
And this is what break time looks like when you're playing poker in the Bahamas. I'm on my dinner break right now and doing a little walk over here. With all these beautiful boats. I was up to 50 million. I was chip leader, lost a little bit. So now I'm sitting on 35 million chips. And I am still probably in the top chip counts, above average. There's 61 players left, but I'm not really thinking too much about that final table yet. You know, I think people get a little too excited about that too early, too focused on that. Only 9 players are going to make it. Still a lot can happen. You know, I've been here a million times throughout my career and know how it can go. So I'm really just focused on playing each hand, staying focused, making sure I'm not missing important things at the table. And that's about it. Getting back on stream pretty soon, secondary stream table. See you guys there.
Now, this was the hand of the tournament for me, and not for the reasons you might think. My opponent raises here from late position cutoff. I call the big blind. We're about 50 big blinds deep, and I cover just slightly. Flop comes king, 8-5, 2 clubs. He c-bets about 20% of the pot. And I go for the check raise here, about 4 times his bet. Now this is normally a pretty standard check raise spot, but because of the ICM being so deep in the tournament, we are going to be a little bit more conservative with our value raises. And this becomes right on the border, but I still like this check raise. We're getting value from a lot of worse hands. Any pair is essentially going to call my raise here. So hands like pocket fours all the way through queens. He's also going to call all the worst kings he has, which is stuff like king jack off, king 10 off, king 9 suited all the way down to king 4 suited, any 8x or 5x you might have, flush draws, and even hands like ace queen, ace jack, and ace 10 with a club. So as you can see, when you could rattle off that many hands you're getting value off of, this is a great spot to check raise. Turn is the 5 of hearts, which generally helps my range. He's not going to have a lot of 5s in his opening range, and I certainly will have some check raises with a 5. Stuff like 5-6, 5-7, or even my flush draws with a 5 in it are all going to consider check raising. So on the turn here, I really have all options on the table here. I could do a large 2/3 pot bet, a medium size 40% pot bet, or I could just check. And I elected to go with the large bet. My image is such that people know I like to put a lot of pressure on people deep in tournaments. And I am going to show up here with bluffs often, stuff like 5-6, club draws, and even hands like ace-6 or ace-7 with the ace of clubs. So I felt like this big bet here, he's going to think I'm just representing a 5 or nothing. He's not going to expect this king-queen thinner value in there. And I figured he's going to basically call any worse king he has and maybe even hero call some pocket pairs. So he calls. Now, river is the 10 of hearts, which is interesting. I was planning on going for stacks here on the river and shoving all in or something close to it, but only on something like a deuce through 7 that's a non-club. This 10 I don't like because some of the main hands I'm getting value out of are king jack off and king 10 off, and now king 10 has turned into 2 pair, pocket 10s has turned into a set. And of course, I was concerned the entire time that he could have something like aces or ace king. Now, typically you should be using around a quarter pot block bet here. I went with a significantly smaller bet, and I do have a reason for that, but I'm not going to share it here publicly because I don't know which of my opponents are watching this, but I am going to be reviewing all these hands I played in the super main event in an upcoming Jaka coaching lesson on my training site. I have this cool series called Pros in the Hot Seat where I invite a super high roller coach to come review my hands with me and coach me through some of these tough spots. It's one of the ways I keep my game sharp, and I also allow all my members to join in on these sessions so they could ask questions live or watch the recording and learn alongside with me. So this is definitely one of the hands I'm going to be including in that session, and the coach I'll be inviting to review this one is going to be Kevin Rabichow, who is a top tournament and heads up player. If you want to get in on these lessons, just make sure you're a member on my training site, jakacoaching.com. You can get on my weekly strategy newsletter at farazjaka.com, and I'll make sure to keep you in the loop when I review these hands. So I do a block bet, 4 million into 28 million. He tanks for a while and just calls with aces. I was able to freeze him up, and he was kicking himself for not value raising that river because he knows it would have been a tough spot for me where I definitely would consider paying him off. I can't say whether I would have called a raise or not. It really depends how I feel in the moment, if I get any physical tells or timing tells. But that was huge. Even though I went from 40 million chips down to 27 million, I felt like I was free rolling the rest of the tournament. And a lot of players, after losing a huge pot like that, are stuck in their head thinking about the hand for the next 30 minutes. But that is a distraction. Right now, the only thing I'm thinking about is my new 35 big blind stack, about my new scenario and my adjusted strategy. Right now, thinking about the past is just going to be a waste of my time, and I need to stay laser focused on making this final table and taking down this tournament.
All right, that was a rocky 2 hours. I lost a big one early, check raising king queen for thin value with top pair. I could have went broke. I was still alive after that, and I grinded it back up, and I'm back to 40 mil, a little over average. So yeah, we're not dying easy. I'll tell you that.
Another one of our outer tables. Faraz Jaka opens. Alejandro Ganavet with a 3-bet to 8 million. And there you see the 4-bet from Jaka. Couple massive pots developing at our outer table on a 65K pay jump, and there's a fold, and there's another pot for Faraz Jaka.
All right, 63 mil going into the final 24. Probably dead average, I think. I got it. Average looks like it's around 61 mil, so barely above average. Oh shit! Look who we got.
Oh, picture in picture here. Faraz is
Got our
in.
buddy Terrence over
You about
here.
bag average?
Just above average. You?
Just below that.
Okay.
We balance each other out. Exactly.
We're average together. All right,
We'll see if we have
6
the same
spot, baby.
table tomorrow.
24
Who else
left.
we got?